Welcome to my favorite meeting of the week. Every Friday at 11 Eastern, 4 p.m. UK, we meet to talk about the different legal AI use case and see demos. Today, we're going to talk about task and project management. And we have three vendors that are going to present how the approach to doing that. So I'm very excited about seeing that. A note about the schedule. June 19th is Juneteenth. We're not going to have a session. We're going to combine the June 19th and the June 26th. So we're going to skip June 19th and we're going to have two topics the following week. We're also going to skip July 4th for similar reasons. And then on July 10th, we're going to talk about intranet and collaboration. We're going to devote July 17th to all about Anthropic and Claude in legal. July 24 is about litigation management, and then July 31 is a book club. Any relevant books that you've read or written recently that are worth, we're going to talk about them and have a conversation. Next week, we're going to talk about contract negotiations and red lighting. June 12 is document automation, and June 26 is knowledge libraries and summarization. We have two summer socials scheduled already. One is in London, and the other is during ILTA. And we're going to announce another one in New York as soon as we have the sponsor for that during the summer. So if you want to scan that barcode, you could register for those. And remind everyone the Chatham House rule, you could quote anything you learned here, but don't associate anything or don't attribute anything to the speaker. Please rename yourself, firm, name, and title. Use your group chat to ask your questions. Please type it with question in all cap. We have, for some of the sessions, we have a little time because the video was too long, but they will continue to answer your questions after the fact in the chat. So just use the chat. Reminding you, this is a seminar, not a webinar. At any moment, you could turn on your camera, which will be a signal for us that you have a pressing question you want to ask. And then after we're done with the presentations, we're going to ask the presenters to leave, and we're going to stay just among ourselves to continue the conversation. A reminder, when we asked you the survey, which was almost 6 months ago, what do you use for task management? And thank you, Ab, who is presenting today, who helped us analyze the data. So people talked, this is what they said. So Microsoft projects, smart sheets, so those are, and Monday, the generic and non-legal tools, and then Loophole, Dashboard Legal, and a few others were the legal specific tools that people talked about. Today we have Loophole, we have Dashboard Legal that's now part of Bilo, and we have Filevine to present their approach. And we're going to do it in that order. We're going to ask Greg, who is going to moderate the conversation. And without further ado, play the movie.
Welcome to Loophole. Loophole is an AI native task management system that's built for law firms. And let's start with the problem we solve. So law is a $1 trillion industry that still runs mostly on Post-it notes, Excel trackers, and lists like this one in Microsoft Word, which are very manual and they're out of date the moment that I circulate them via email. So why is it that lawyers haven't really adopted task and project management like we've seen in other industries? Well, we think it's because lawyers don't actually want task management. What they want is the benefits of task management without the effort. If it takes me longer to create a tracker, update a tracker, assign stuff within a tracker than it just takes to do the thing, I'm just going to do the thing. I need to get back to the client. The partner's chasing me on something. I don't have time for trackers. And so what we started asking ourselves is, how might we leverage AI for that part of a lawyer's day, which is really the work about work, and deliver the benefits of task and project management without all that manual effort? And here are some examples of how we do that. I'm using Claude here, but this really works with any agentic system. And I'm going to use my agent. I'm going to ask it to create a new matter for me. So in this case, we're acting for Waystar. I've given it the agreement. It's a dispute. Now, what my agent's going to do is reach into Loople, figure out, is there a suitable starting point for that? We have in Loople what we call solution templates, like blueprints. And Claude's figuring out, okay, this is the right one. There's my Singapore arbitration template. And it's actually created the matter for me with all of the required tasks, checklists, work streams that's needed for a matter of this type. Now, within a matter in Loople, we have really deep task and project management functionality. There's the ability to see what needs to be done, how it's going, who's doing it, when it's due. And critically, we integrate with all the systems that law firms already use. So things like iManage. And in this case, I want to link the notice of arbitration to the task. And so I'm going to do that here. So the latest version is always attached. It's not just for tracking tasks. You can track things like witness trackers in M&A transactions, closing checklists, and you can view this stuff in a number of different ways. So in this example, I'm going to create a Trello-style Kanban board to track my work. Some lawyers like to work in this more agile way. Others prefer Gantt, and increasingly clients like Gantt as well. And this allows me to visualize how the matter is actually going to play out, what the bottlenecks and risks are. And then finally, good old calendars. What we have in Loople is the ability to sync all of these dates into an Outlook calendar. Now, speaking of Outlook, we still think Outlook is going to be the first app that lawyers open at the start of each day. And we do have an Outlook integration, which allows you to create and update items from Outlook. But where it gets really exciting is where we leverage agents to automatically keep trackers up to date just by being CC'd on an email. So here's a really long email on a particular matter. I'm just going to forward that to my agent. And the agent is going to go into the tracker and update the status of everything. And it's figured out material contracts is blocked. Let's mark that as blocked. And let's track exactly what needs to get unblocked. Now, clearly, all of the guardrails are in place to control what updates can be made, what approvals are needed. But attorneys love this because it's outsourcing that boring work around updating the tracker to an agent. And then you get all the benefits without all of the effort. Similarly, when I need to update dates and push things back, I don't want to go in and update 1,000 different items. I can just ask my agent, in this case, Claude, could be Legora, could be Harvey, could be Copilot. I need to push those dates back, and the agent will take care of that for me. The beauty of all this is, because it supports MCP, you can bring in the rich data we have in Loople about the status of things into your agentic tool. And in this case, I have a matter, and I'll need to price it. And so it's pulling in the scope from Loople, and it's looking at historic matters in Loople to figure out what's the right way to price it. And then it's going to build for me a pricing dashboard, which for me as a partner is great because it means that I can come up with a fee quote for this matter based on the actual scope of work as well as previous matters. Finally, what about team capacity? We all know those team capacity trackers at the end of each week that get sent round, and everybody's always quite busy. You don't want to be too busy because you won't get any more work, and you don't want to be free because it means that no one wants to work with you. And so what if you could bring in the real-time task assignments from Loople into your agentic tool to figure out which associates actually have capacity at this moment in time? These are all just examples, but the vision that we have is really for self-driving task and project management. Let lawyers do the legal work and assign the keeping updated of trackers and status reports to AI so that really we can all focus on providing the maximum value to our clients. We work primarily with mid to large law firms in Europe and the US. Every single one of them renewed their licenses last year, and you can see on the screen some of the lovely feedback that's coming into our brilliant team. So thanks so much for listening, and look forward to taking your questions.
Brilliant. Thank you. And India, Ab, good to see you. Thanks for joining. I haven't had any questions come in on the chat so far, but hopefully we will do. But I guess a couple from me. Really smart about how, obviously, using the agent, you're able to go in and look at, for example, an email and reflect those changes into the status. How do you sort of handle any conflicts or uncertainties there? Is there sort of a loop back, human in the loop, you need to check this, or what does that look like?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to be able to do that. One, every single agent gets a human supervisor. That's for a multitude of reasons, including what you shared. But it's also where the agent doesn't know what to do, rather than guessing at the task, it goes back to that supervisor to ask for clarity. So from a user's point of view, they're not impacted by that as much. And then, of course, everything that happens has a rich audit trail as well. So any action that's taken by the agent, it's tracked both in the back end for the admins, and some of that information can also be surfaced as part of the matter work stream. So you can see what action the agent took, and it can actually leave comments on each of those tasks and items. So you're fully aware of exactly what happened and who did what.
Super. Thank you. Got a question there from David. Do you want to come off mute?
Are there any particular types that it's best at, litigation, IP, transactional, or is it sort of a jack of all trades working equally well across the firm?
We've designed it to be practice agnostic. India chime in, but I think off the top of my head, I think real estate is probably our most common practice area, followed by litigation, and then sort of corporate, the big umbrella of corporate as it is. But yeah, India, feel free to add more if you have anything.
Yeah, we've got really strong use cases in so many practice areas, but it really excels where there are really repeatable workflows that you can template as a solution, and where you can just add in layers of automation just to really help speed up the work. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat, actually, just also talking about use cases from Anne at Bowman and Brook for litigation cases. Is there any sort of integration with software for calculating court deadlines for and so on?
Yeah, so we're working with a number of firms where we have designed some of the integrations around things like court docketing information. And part of that is just figuring out there's a couple of different approaches to that. One approach is because Loophole is pushing all deadlines to people's Outlook, that becomes your system of record. So your docketing tool is generally also doing that in addition to emails. So you end up with all docketing information, deadlines in Outlook, including Loophole deadlines. The alternative way to do that is to set up an integration with docketing tools and Loophole. So your docketing deadlines can also show up in Loophole in a work stream in the Loophole calendar, and then can be part of automations and everything else that we talked about. So short answer, yes. Yeah, but happy to sort of go into more detail as needed.
Super, thank you. And Alicia had a question around, have you got business services teams using it as well as, I guess, the frontline lawyers or attorneys?
Yeah, it wasn't a designed use case for us, but it's one of those sort of happy accidents where we certainly have BD teams, pricing teams, marketing teams, HR teams all using that. And essentially, part of it comes down to a lot of those teams were using things like Smartsheet or just Excel trackers. So for them to be able to bring a lot of that work into Loophole just makes sense, especially since the firm already is leveraging the platform. I mean, at its heart, we're a project management tool. Just the integrations are different. A lot of those business services teams don't require the rich integrations into those tools. And especially now, I would say in the last 6 months, because of some of the MCP capabilities, we're now able to connect to other systems. So we even have some IT teams using Loophole as a ticketing system because they can connect to other services to provide that information, and we kind of become that orchestration layer to manage the work.
We find that business services teams also there's a lot of information gathering. So we have a forms feature which makes it really easy to gather information. So you're not having to use email to coordinate a lot of that. And Loophole becomes your sort of database for a lot of things, particularly pitch materials, credentials tracking, things like that.
Thank you. There's a question from Michael, actually, similar vein, but sort of use for in-house legal teams as well. I assume a similar story there.
Very similar. I would say for in-house team, the approach has to be different because what you require from a project management tool. It's a little bit more nuanced. We want to make sure that we distinguish between what we can offer and what you're looking for. A lot of teams come to us and what they want is a CLM. We're not a CLM. So we want to be able to guide people in the right direction rather than just say yes to everything. But at the same time, we have some huge corporations that are leveraging Loophole. And for them, a lot of the legal work, it's just messy. The volume is usually a lot higher. So being able to connect all of the different departments becomes even more important. Actually, what India was saying around forms, that gets used probably more than anything else because it's a lot more intake of work. What Matt was demonstrating in terms of the email, so forward an email and update trackers or to create a matter, that gets leveraged a lot more in-house as well.
Yeah, great. I can imagine. One more question to pick up from Kristen at White and Case, which was about sort of final reports, feedback elements at the end of projects. So any kind of MI or other sort of reporting that you've got.
India, I'll delegate to you.
Yeah, lots of ways that you can leverage reporting. We have matter dashboards, so you can surface a lot of information in visual dashboards and create different dashboards depending on what kind of report you're trying to produce. Is it an internal partner report? Is it a client-facing report? Is it a report dedicated just to due diligence and progress there? So lots of ways to do that. Capacity tracking as well. We've got lots of tools to be able to support that. And then you've got that more cross-matter practice level, portfolio level reporting that you can pull together as well. And obviously with our MCP links, that becomes even more powerful, particularly in Claude, the ability to pull lots more together and offer even more.
I'll say at a very even more simpler level, because of the templates, a lot of the time what we find is teams will add a work stream in a lot of the templates that has the end of matter sort of checklist, because a lot of the time the postmortem doesn't happen because you move on to the next thing. So if you actually have that built into the process itself, because you can have all the tools if you need, but if people aren't aware they should do that and they're not making time for it, it doesn't happen. So actually at a very more granular, the first principles level, making sure that people have those best practices in mind, that alone means that people end up capturing feedback, both from clients, internal teams, and doing a bit more of a postmortem on, well, what can we improve the next time?
Yeah. Okay. Just a minute to go, and I guess I'll take a follow-up on that one as there are no more questions in the chat. A lot of us in our roles are being asked about sort of deal velocity or time between something happening and something finishing, or from deal instruction to close, and being able to forecast that forward. Presumably that's the kind of information you could get out if you were using Loophole consistently.
Exactly. I think it's that, but also understanding, what kinds of deadlines, tasks, deliverables routinely get pushed, being able to pick that information so you are much more aware of the bottlenecks for your team, your department, individuals sometimes, so you can figure out what do we need to improve, because usually people have a good idea of what do I need to do as part of their muscle memory, but that's when you start sort of missing very obvious things on, okay, clearly every single time we do DD, this one step just takes us longer than it should. So we need to look into that.
Yeah, and the beauty of tracking and using our solutions, our templates, is that you've got a system of record for how it's been done before. And so you've got the ability then to do that look back and to take the lessons learned. And then that helps you obviously with your forecasting.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. There are a couple of other questions coming up in the chat, which I can leave you to
we'll
answer
get back to it,
sort of separately. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stephanie, back to you.
Hey, Skills community. Matt Rotenberg, Director of Workflow Solutions here at Bloomberg Law, and I'm excited to give a quick demo of the latest and greatest from Dashboard Legal. Let's cut straight to it. You're seeing an incredible amount of high-quality AI right now, and it's focused on better work product, faster drafting, summarizing, reviewing, research, all the substantive pieces of legal work. But here's our point of view. As AI multiplies our output, we're seeing more contributors, agents, clients coming back with their own AI-produced work product. It's actually accelerating the inputs and expanding the surface area that lawyers are responsible for. The work is evolving, and we're seeing it play out in real time until the coordination layer becomes the inevitable bottleneck. What's open? Who owns it? What's changed? What do we do next? Who do I give this piece of work to? Today, that's happening in email, Teams chats, DMS systems, spreadsheets, meetings, memory, post-it notes. At Dashboard Legal, we're doubling down on work management for legal teams to give the matter a place to live and increasingly to give AI structure it needs to be useful. So let's show you how we're bringing that coordination layer complexity into an organized workflow. This is the board's view, the homepage. Here's where, as a lawyer, I can see my clients, matters, work streams all in one place. And I'll click into a governance matter for Client Export Inc. Starting on the left, we have documents integrated with your DMS system, updates in real time. You can open, access, understand the changes, but all of these documents are still living in your DMS. We're not storing any of your documents. There's a place for chats, to send notifications, for notes about calls or research. And then we get to the checklists. This is where work actually becomes actionable. A checklist can represent a diligence process, closing process, litigation workflow. Here, I'm showing you how a team is collaborating on amending a certificate of incorporation. Each task can have an owner, a due date, status, notes, related documents, dependencies, and I can filter by those parameters. What's assigned to me? What's due next week? And so on. If there is a due date, I can push that due date to Outlook, create a calendar event, invite others. I can set a recurring due date to happen a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You can create dependent tasks. So if one deadline moves, the related downstream tasks move as well. You can also see where a task connects to the DMS system. There's the document right there. And you can also see the Outlook connection as well, which is important because we know that email remains the major source of matter activity. So to show you how this works, I'll just pop open Outlook quickly. This is our add-in. I click it, and then I can have AI autofill these tasks. So when you pop open the email, pop open Dashboard Legal add-in, I press create, and the tasks are already suggested based on that email. When I push it back into Dashboard Legal, boom, there it is, living in your DMS system, but appears visually as if it's in Dashboard Legal. A few other quick things to show you about these checklists. You can templatize them, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. And lawyers can share them externally. You can always download it to a Microsoft Word checklist with custom headers and choose what you want shared, the same output as your clients and colleagues are used to seeing. And you can use our new external sharing capability, which works kind of like a Google Doc, where you enter the person's name, they get multi-factor authenticated, and you can choose what's shared, and it's live, updated in real time. The benefit is this is all backed by Bloomberg state-of-the-art InfoSec standards. Now back to the board here. We've added a few more tools here, a charting and analytics tool, which gives the team a more visual way to understand the state of the work, what's open, what's overdue, how long are things taking, where's the bottleneck. And we can also bring in our newly integrated Bloomberg Law awareness. Here, I'm going to pretend that Meta is my client, and I can link Bloomberg Law's new profiler agent. You can see top news, top law firms for that company, litigation history, company hierarchy, and more. I can also bring in a Bloomberg Law news practice site. For Meta, let's say antitrust matters for me a lot. So I can add it, and not only can I see the top stories, but I can add that story to a checklist. I can ping other people, we can track it, we can send it out to clients. So if something is changing that affects this matter that I'm working on for Meta, the team needs to know. I can keep it live, updated in real time in the same place as all of the other matter materials. Now, what I'm really excited to show you is our new activities summary feature, this last tab on the right. It's really an Outlook agent that turns email activity into matter activity. So I click into the activity summary, I input a few natural language rules, just tell it who is my client, who I'm working with, just natural language sentences, and voila, these activity summary cards are created with a title, last activity date, a summary, and of course, attribution back to the emails themselves. If I expand the card, I can see a more robust summary, again, with links out to the sources, a timeline of document exchanges, correspondence, meetings, and also suggested next steps and tasks. Without having to do anything, the lawyer is receiving instant context from their inbox. All of this is running in your own native Azure environment. The only thing that leaves your database is the metadata to power these activity summaries. And this is unique to each user. So each lawyer is only seeing a version of their own inbox in here. The key point here is simple. The inbox can stay useful, but now there's some horsepower behind it. There's no behavior change. Zero. They can keep sending and receiving emails out of the inbox, but when the lawyer wants to pop into a board, they get that super useful summary. Finally, our new AI assistant. Here's Dashi. Hey, Dashi. A lot of AI tools are starting with a blank prompt box, and most of them are doing some substantive pieces of information. But our assistant sits in this coordination layer and can help with that matter workflow. That means it can help with actual context, like what tasks are urgent, what's waiting on me, who's super busy right now. And I can also have Dashi create anything inside Dashboard Legal just using natural language. So you actually don't even need to understand how our system works. You can just prompt Dashi to do it. So let's say I'm starting a new matter with Export Inc. I can just tell it, hey, Dashi, create a new matter workstream, create an intake checklist, assign everything to me. Boom. Now I can see the new workstream, the new checklist, and everything is assigned to me. This is where we think AI actually becomes useful in this coordination, in this judgment layer. Not just producing more text, just producing more output, but helping lawyers understand the work and helping to move it forward. So to close, our goal with Dashboard Legal has always been to help lawyers get organized and collaborate in ways that are more meaningful than email. This is shaping up to be the operating layer for attorneys, which is a complement to all the substantive AI you're seeing today. The market's focused on that piece of the puzzle. We understand that. We're doing that too here at Bloomberg Law. It's important. The innovations are tremendous. But as the AI world evolves in legal, the amount of time and the importance of lawyers handling the coordination and the judgment is going to necessitate a new judgment layer solution. That's Dashboard Legal, and that's the core value and problems we're focused on. Thanks, and happy to take some Q&A.
Thanks so much, and hi Matt. Thanks for joining us. And
Hey,
a little
Greg.
bit of confetti. Love some confetti on a completed task. It's a question from David in the chat, actually, just to kick us off. We've got about 6 minutes for Q&A. Any particular practice types that are using Dashboard Legal most heavily or are best fit? Perhaps where is it not a great fit?
Yeah, I'd echo Ab's comments. It's complexity and volume. Super complex transactional work, litigation work, we're seeing really strong usage, heavy volume real estate practices. So that's really the crux of it, volume and complexity, I would say. But it's a super flexible tool. So we're seeing use cases across the board, non-attorney practices also, and in-house as well.
Thank you. And just sort of a practical one, sort of the setup, ingestion, creating lists, that sort of thing. I assume there are sort of templates as well, but what's that creation process like? Is it dragging in a deal doc and running from there? Is it replicating from a previous matter? Assume a collection of ways of kicking things off.
Yeah, there's a few ways to get started. The most used is folks just upload their prior checklists, and our AI uploader ingests it, creates a Dashboard Legal checklist. They're off and running. Our new AI assistant can also spin up a lot of really robust kind of baseline structure for legal teams. And then in our admin panel, we also have ways to bulk import matter data and spin up a bunch of boards with a lot of data at once. So we really work with teams as a part of our onboarding program to get them set up, both at the firm level and then at the individual practice area or team level, and have folks kind of get their stuff inside to start using it effectively.
So you could have a firm level or org level library to sort of drive some consistency as well as compete with the flexibility.
Exactly. So yeah, we also have Bloomberg Law templates, which pulls on our practical guidance library. So there's, hundreds of them in there, and folks can get started there if that's what they want to work with. But they can also create their own template library at the firm level, which kind of gets bigger and accumulates over time.
Super, thank you. And similar to the questions for Ab in India, but the not just law firms, I assume. So you have some in-house teams using it as well.
Yeah. So I really like the way Ab phrased it, which is that we're very straightforward about what this thing can do and who it's built for. So lawyers in-house have similar problems with just managing volume, managing complexity, and this tool is a project management tool. It helps them do that. We've got some really nice triage checklists, which are built specifically for in-house. A lot of nice analytics tools, which are geared towards in-house teams. But again, if they're looking for a CLM, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah. And you showed the inviting in of external users, which might be, for example, the client to see that board.
Yeah.
Does that extend to maybe inviting in other advisors to have a more proactive role on the project management as well?
Absolutely. Local counsel, outside advisors, they can all collaborate on that same checklist, and everybody gets notified. You can see an audit trail of who changed what and when. So it's really becoming the hub for external parties to collaborate as well.
Super. 3 minutes left, and anyone wants to come off mute if they had any other questions for Matt?
Yeah, I'm surprised no questions about our email agent. And it's interesting, the approaches that Loophole and Dashboard Legal are taking towards the agentic kind of intake process and really working in the background. I think our approach has been to natively take in the inbox information and produce these summaries, then have our native assistant work inside the platform. And that's been our approach. But it was interesting to see how Loophole's taking the kind of front end Claude approach as well.
Okay, Oz has come right in with 2 minutes to spare on the email agent, and I assume that
thought you'd never ask.
Presume that's sort of a proactive choice that users make to bring the agent in, right, on the email side.
Yeah. If you have O365, that's the key integration, and we've got a lot of InfoSec bells and whistles for folks that are interested. But the approach that we have is we don't want to just produce like an Outlook or Gmail summary. So the way that we've had a team of lawyers really building the solution is to go through a number of different gates and parameters to give the best possible summary and output. And that goes through legal specific training, it goes through practice area training, and it's also able to pull on data inside Dashboard Legal. So it's not just summarizing that email, it's really taking the full corpus of information and producing something that a lawyer actually would find valuable, not just something that's built for everybody. That's just a plain summary.
All about the context engineering.
Exactly.
Question from Joanna, actually from Goodwin, on the specific models that the agentic piece is using.
I've been scolded about that before, but ping me and I will respond with our InfoSec team on the exact models and what's going on under the hood. Would be happy to share that information.
Cool. Thank you, Matt. All right. Bang on time, pretty much. So thank you, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joy Sue, and I'm the Vice President of Go-to-Market here at Filevine. At Filevine, we have built LOIS, the world's first and only legal operating intelligence system. LOIS reads and reasons like a legal professional at the scale of your entire workload. This has huge implications for the practice of law and every member of your team. Today, we're going to show you how LOIS transforms tasks and project management.
Welcome to LOIS. What you're looking at is LOIS Console, really the front door to Filevine's AI. Now, LOIS isn't a chatbot that just bolted to the system. It's the intelligence layer built directly into and intertwined with the Filevine platform. It knows your cases, your clients, your tasks, your deadlines, your documents, all of it. The idea behind Console is something I like to think of as practice intelligence. The ability to step back from every individual case file and have a real conversation with your entire practice. Every matter, every client, every task, every deadline in plain English, not just to get answers or raise information, but also to take action right here without ever leaving the conversation. So whether you're doing whatever practice area you may be, in personal injury to real estate to anything else, this is all for you. So let's dive into the tool. Immediately, we can begin chatting right away. This might be even where I want to start my day and come back to throughout the day. But let's say, for example, let's start with a prompt on a specific matter. I'm going to go in and actually prompt Lois to say, give me what are our upcoming deadlines on this matter. And then Lois goes to work. Lois is reading across the entire matter, our tasks, deadlines, documents. It's not just a keyword search. It understands the context the way any person would. Now, while Lois is doing its work here, I want to show you a couple different examples of the capacity of this tool. So let's dive in. Let's say, for example, I'm a new associate on this case. I've prompted Lois to go in and say, I am a new associate on this case. Bring me up to speed and flag any upcoming deadlines. Think about what this would have taken, for any firm. This is a real issue. Digging through notes, sorting through emails, stacks of documents, just to piece together a timeline. That's hours, sometimes maybe days. Within minutes, Lois has given me that information and has given me the opportunity to go check and verify with citations the actual source documents. This isn't just a summary you have to take faith on. You can cross-check every single output against real document data. Another example may be, maybe I'm covering for a teammate who's out sick. I've prompted Lois to update me on key deadlines on a team member while she is out sick. And what should I focus on while she is gone? Lois has gone in, organized this data in a way that will be meaningful to me while I cover for my teammate, Rachel Beal. Now let's pop back to our original prompt with deadlines. We've prompted Lois to give us these deadlines. Lois has done it. Now let's go a step further. Let's say there has been a change with a certain particular date. Let's say our trial date has updated to December 23rd. Then we're going to task Adam Hansen to contact our client Owen by Monday about the new trial date change. Now Lois goes in here. This isn't just merely a search. It wasn't just a simple question. It was an instruction, and Lois is acting on it. This is agentic AI with Lois. Lois isn't just able to surface great information for us. As valuable as that is, Lois can do more beyond that and go actually take action inside of our cases. With a short statement, Lois is doing two things at once. It is changing a field within our case live. It is also tasking a real individual with a specific task on a specific due date. I did not need to navigate a way to go do this within a particular matter. I am staying right here within console. Now, what does this mean? This is huge for every practice area. A new associate walks in, fully briefed. Somebody out sick can rest and get better, knowing that their cases are being dealt with in an organized manner. That's practice intelligence. It doesn't matter what kind of law you practice, because every firm in every area has the same underlying challenge: too much information, too much moving pieces, and never enough time. The gap between knowing what needs to happen and actually making it happen, the gap is closing. And this is what it looks like. Lois Console.
If you're ready to see what Lois can do for your practice, follow this QR code to schedule a call with us. Thank you.
Super. And hi, Adam. Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Hi, Greg.
I'll kick us off with a question whilst we sort of invite questions in from the other attendees in the chat. We obviously saw the sort of the powerful sort of chat interface there in the agentic piece, and it was going off and doing things in the background, updating tasks and so on. I assume that is just the other dashboards and other areas within Filevine that it is doing that you'd be able to browse out to. And the interface is not just the sort of the chat back and forth.
Yeah, so that is exactly what's happening in the background. Ultimately, Filevine at its roots was created, we're going on almost a decade here, with really powerful case management. And so we've spent so many years building that underlying foundation of building a project or a case or a matter, all of the different fields of information, calendaring item, tasks, everything, all of that can still live within the Filevine ontology, if you will. But then Lois Console can have the full picture across the entire practice of everything.
Okay, so, and a question actually from Claire, noticing that Lewis is in beta. I'm interested to understand whether teams can use sort of the broader Filevine functionality without the Lewis piece on top.
Absolutely. And that's where we started as that case management system. We do that very, very well. Lois is just integrated, intertwined now with all of that as well.
We wanted people to understand that you can actually use Lois without needing Filevine. You know, you don't have to switch your case management platform anymore in order to use Lois and use our AI. You can still continue using Clio or whatever you guys are preferring to use. That is just fine. But actually, we decided to make it a little bit easier as well, as like if you don't have one of those case management systems to currently manage any of that, if you are interested in Lois, we're actually going to include that case management for you guys for free as well.
And so, but Lois will primarily interact or exclusively interact with the information within Filevine and not with other systems necessarily.
It can go both ways. So that's where we're able to interact with other systems as well. It just works very well with the case management ontology of Filevine, for sure.
Question from O's in the chat on the sort of the cost structure of it.
Great question. I would point you to maybe schedule some time with one of our account executives to kind of get into those details as far as the structure. I'm one of the sales engineers here, and I just get to show the amazing product.
One of the nice things, though, is we do bill on a per case basis. So this isn't just going to be like some giant subscription model based on how many users you guys have anymore. It's going to be on a per case basis.
And model wise, assume a sort of a mixture of models or any particular preference.
Correct. Yeah. Depending on the type of work that Lois is doing for us, we may use a different LLM for the type of work, whether we're drafting, doing agentic work, summarizing information, things of that nature.
And the view we saw there of Lois sort of adjusting timelines and so on, was that an individual's view or is that a team shared environment? So was that an individual interaction with a case back in Filevine, or could a teammate or someone else on the same deal see those same queries and see the back and forth? Because I think I'm thinking back to the conflicts and how you handle mixed instructions as well.
Yeah, great question. That is an individual view. All of it can essentially have an audit trail of what is happening, and so anything that does happen. But the nice thing is all of that is now automatic. Say I bring in a scheduling order into the chat with Lois on a particular case and have Lois update all of our dates based on that scheduling order. Lois can go in and read that, and immediately update our case calendar and deadlines, tasking individuals. And so individuals can see that happening live within a case itself.
See if we've got any other questions in the chat. We've got a couple of minutes left still for the Q&A. There's another question that comes to mind, just going back to that personal versus sort of team environment. Sounded like there are sort of the logging. So if someone goes, actually, I'm going to push all the dates of all of this out, that's kept as a record somewhere. And if you needed to unwind that, you could do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And even live within the chat there, whether I'm fetching information, I can check and verify whatever Lois is doing. So if it's fetching information, summarizing information, I can check that with the live documents. If I'm having it agentically do things on my behalf, whether it be setting up a new matter, rescheduling dates for a particular matter, I can see Lois do that live within the chat, but also check and verify that as well, just to make sure that is all complete and correct.
And I think last one from me is just sort of document manipulation, document editing, document amending. So if you've got something that's in a tracker that's not within a FileVine sort of structure or dashboard, but might be within a document, have you expanded Lewis as an agent to handle documents in that way?
Great question. So Lois Console isn't going to be really meant for document manipulation. There's a few things we can do as far as document management, like, hey, maybe I want Lois to go in and actually put different documents in select folders within my case without me touching the case. It can do that. For document manipulation and utilizing Lois, we have an incredible tool called Lois for Word, where I can do composition, agentically do even contract reviews, redlining tools. It's an incredibly powerful tool. It's a little separate than console specifically.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I think it's great. That's gonna lead us to the one and only who comes to organize our thoughts every week here. We're gonna invite Nikki and to walk us through how Legal Tech Hub thinks about this all.
Thank you so much, Oz. And thank you to those who have presented already. And so what you see in front of you is the data from this year's survey. We did not survey on this arena last year. Interesting here, you see the generic products, Microsoft projects, still very much in the lead here, perhaps understandably. And like some of the other areas that we've looked at, there's a real distinction here between task and project management sort of broadly through generic software that doesn't actually require legal specific attributes. And then on the other hand, the legal specific tools that provide you with exactly the kind of features that you need in order specifically to help with matter work and more practice specific workflows. All right, moving to the next slide. So this is an area where we have seen quite a lot of evolution, really started with generic enterprise tools adapted from other industries or just broadly cross-industry with more of a focus on project timelines and often requiring significant customization if you did want to use them specifically for legal work because they didn't have that built in. Saw the rise of some of these legal project management and verticalized task management specifically for legal between 2015 and sort of 2023. I believe that's when both Loophole and Dashboard Legal actually arose. And as we've seen today, really built around matter plans and the way that lawyers in fact work. And then now in 2023 and beyond, adding layers in that we've also seen today for AI-enabled workflow coordination, and with that ability to generate records and track usage and work and provide updates around work. Moving on to the next slide. Of course, today we've actually seen, I think, perhaps more AI transformation in some of these tools than has been the case previously, unlike some of the other categories where there's been kind of full disruption and change of workflow. Still, a lot of the workflows here are similar, although I will say, from what Dashboard Legal showed today, I think this is certainly changing. Also, just as an aside, for those of you using task and project management tools in your own life and administration, if you are able to connect Claude Cowork, for example, to Asana or Monday.com, that can be quite revolutionary in terms of increasing efficiency and helping you work. And so certainly anticipate that that kind of enablement is going to continue growing across the category. Next slide. In terms of what to look for, again, like some of the other categories, this is so dependent on exactly what it is that you're looking for. Are you looking for something that is really about task management broadly, where you don't need the legal specific, matter specific attributes? Or is it something where what you really want is lawyers to be able to manage their matter work in a way where the product itself deeply understands the way that legal work is handled and what a client matter is, and potentially being able to open it up securely to clients as well? Obviously, the governance and risk controls will look a little bit different depending on what you're looking for. But a lot of the flows that you often will seek in terms of productivity gains from task and project management can also come from general tools without that legal verticalization. So very much, again, looking at digging into the problem, understanding where the firm, your lawyers, your staff are looking to save time or improve control over the way that work is handled, and then go to market thinking about whether what you're looking for can be something fairly generic or whether you do in fact need those legal specific attributes. So I will stop there and back over to Oz and all of you for a discussion.
Thank you.